I had a meeting, an accountability meeting with someone from my mastermind group, DDG, Kevin Dubrosky. We had met early September, and being COVID and it was nice summer, we're like, hey, why don't we go to the park and play catch? What we did last year is whenever we have accountability parties, we just go meet somewhere. We've played billiards together. We played catch. So I said, why don't we go play catch, socially distance? Be nice to be outdoors. And funny enough, Jade and Betty had a play date in Trinity Bellwood. So we like go meet there. And Trinity Bellwood is a big park here in Toronto. So we played catch, and it's always insightful. I'm very inspired by him, motivated, learn a lot from him. He taught me about doubling my pricing and implementing things right now. He's a high performance coach, very disciplined. And we had decided after we played catch to go to an area called Kensington in Toronto, sit on a patio and have a beer. It was Friday. And he shared with me this audacious goal that he was thinking about doing, because he is a performance coach, and for him to create the life that he truly desires, he has to change something. So he had pitched me this idea. It was, I think, formulating in his mind for probably a month now, in terms of how can he change his own mindset and his own actions to create the life that he truly desires. And for him, it turned out to be going from 0 to 35 million in 100 days.
Zero to 35 million in 100 days. This is 20, a podcast mini where I share the 5 things that I've learned in 2020, this being the 5th. And when I heard Kevin say what his goal was, I was in. I was inspired. I was driven.
And in that conversation, I remember being fully inspired by this concept of having an audacious goal in a predetermined time. And Kevin turned to me and he's like, Edwin, I shared with him my Flashpoint. He understands Slingshot and my tech business. It's scalable. He turned to me and asked me a question that probably has been something I've been running from for a long time. He's like, what would happen if you went 100% in Slingshot? Talk to me about this life that you truly desire. How much is it going to cost? It was an exercise he had done with me in the past, right? And in the past, I calculated what my dream life would be, and it was like, oh, all I need is $20,000. When I did this exercise again, it ended up being like, for me to live the life I truly desire, to make the impact, to have the peace of mind that is possible, it turned out to be like $220,000 a month is what I need take home after tax. Or before tax, I think it was before tax. I can't remember now. But so we had met. It was early, it was about mid-September. And I was so inspired, motivated to do this. He's like, well, listen, 100 days to the end of the year is September 22nd. This was like the 13th or something. He's like, think about it. I'm going to decide if I'm going to do it or not. He's like, I'm 90% going to do this because I have to build my home. And when I build my home, like this to do an audacious goal, you become a legend and everyone wants to work with you. And I'm like, I want to be a legend. I want to create myself and do this. And I was thinking about this idea, journaled about it. And what I became present to was the fear was overwhelming, because I was already thinking, I want to do this. I want to make 220,000, get to that point at the end of the year, 100 days. But boy, that sounds fucking scary, man. I battled the fear, the anxiety. I couldn't sleep. And I turned to God. I started thinking about anxieties and fears, and it's all in your head. I remember checking Brendan Bouchard. He had a quick book. He had a thing on fear, and it was like a 4-minute, 5-minute clip. I should look for it and maybe post it. And talks about the 4 reasons of fear, right? It's utter failure, or that it was a couple of things. And man, I really battled that. I ended up picking up his book. It was The Manifest of something. I forgot the name, but I ended up crushing that book in a day to help me like rise up to this occasion. And I think a couple of days before the 23rd, I had decided I was going to do this. I messaged him. I'm like, you know, I'm going to do this. I believe I could do this, because one of the questions is, Edwin, can you deliver that? I said, yeah, I think so. He's like, can you figure it out? I'm like, 100% I could figure out whatever happens. You know, I get $1 billion deal. I'm going to figure it out. He says, okay, then you could do it. So I had messaged him. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And that was a point. It was just like that decision alone took a lot of fear facing. And to put it all in, I did a YouTube video. I shared it with my mastermind group. I shared it online. And almost instantly when I did that, not only the decision, but declaring it to the world, clarity just came through. I was focused. And then synchronicities started to happen. People started coming to my life, ideas. And it's just something that probably can't talk about here, but the biggest thing I learned was making that decision when you have a flashpoint or a point of contention that scares you. And walking through that door and declaring it to the world, that's one of my biggest learnings. Right now, as I record these, and this is, I think, the 5th of my top 5 learnings from this year. It's day 97. I think about a conversation, a voice note I got from Kevin 2 days ago. And he's like, what are the decisions that you did this year or before? I coined this Flashpoint 100X, by the way, hashtag Flashpoint 100X. This is the process of becoming, of being. What are the decisions that you're doing nowadays that you probably would have done before you started this process? I mean, this mini right now I'm doing, this podcast mini, I wouldn't have done this in one night. I'm doing it. I recorded this all right now. And I'm going to launch this on day 100. It's going to be my gift to the world. It may not be perfect, but I'm going to complete the 100-day journey with my top 5 things that I learned in 2020.
This was 20, a podcast mini produced by the Business Leadership Podcast Network. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share with you my journey, the top 5 things that I learned in 2020. It's been such a profound year, and words and stories do no justice to the things that I've felt, the things that I learned, the dark nights. And I was really excited to put this all together for you. So if you do feel that this podcast mini provided great value, inspired you, or a spark was lit inside of you, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I'm available on all social media networks. on LinkedIn. Check the show notes for this. But one thing I wanted to mention, as this is a new concept for me. I've been doing podcasts for 4 years now, but as I am intrigued by podcast mini formats, I am thinking about producing another one to chronicleize my 100-day journey, the Flashpoint 100X journey that I mentioned in this episode. Because by far, out of everything I've done this year, everything made sense. Everything had to happen for me to get to talk about this episode, this final episode. And I'm thinking about producing another miniseries where I chronicleize the 100-day journey, because something happened to me within this 100 days that I am leaving 2020 as a new person, a new mindset, unwavering belief systems. And I just want to share it with you, for the ones who may need this, for the ones who can make a difference. So leave me a comment, leave me a thought. And in the meantime, please do subscribe, follow, like, leave a comment, and share this episode, share this mini-series with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, do your best.